So when you show up for the exam, you want to have your beginner's card, the vehicle permit, proof of insurance, and if you have a driving school certificate, you'll want to bring that too. So it's a good idea to lay them out on the dash. That way you're not fumbling for things when the examiner comes out and asks for them. You've already got them all ready, and it's easier for him too. So when the examiner comes out, he'll go through the hand signals with you. You've got right, left, stop or slow down. Then he's going to go through the lights. So he'll stand out there and he'll say headlights. So you'll turn your headlights on. Then he'll say high beams. So you just take the headlight lever, push it forward, and then he can see that the high beams work and you know how to operate them. He'll go through the signal lights and get you to put your foot on the brake, and then he'll start the test. So in these parking lots, every time you come up to the end of a row, it's just like a stop sign. I'm turning right onto Bedford Drive. Now I'm going from Bedford Drive down to the interchange area. So just throwing on my right signal light. Want to be in a position where I could yield here if I had to. Nobody to yield to. Now I'm approaching the interchange area, so if the examiner said we're going straight at these lights, I'll need to make a lane change. This whole test is 50 kilometers an hour, except for the highway. So I just left the interchange area. Now I'm on Mount Hope Avenue. Now I'm going to turn left from Mount Hope Avenue. And I'm turning onto Estates Road. Might as well do a curb park here. So I'm going to throw my right signal light on, check my right shoulder. Now I'm just bringing the car over nice and straight, and I keep rolling along till I feel like the car is close enough to the curb. And I can also check this right mirror here. Yeah, so that looks like it's close enough there. So now I would just put the car in park, put my emergency brake on, turn all the way to the right because I'm on a level surface, and then that would be the park. Then when the examiner says to head back out, I just want to do one thing at a time. So what I do is I put my foot on the brake, take my emergency brake off, put the car in drive, get my steering wheel turned back to straight, throw my left signal light on. Now I'm looking at the left mirror. I'm not seeing any cars in the mirror, so I just double check my shoulder and out I go. This curve is technically not a turn, but the street name changes. So since the street name changes, you would signal there. On a road test, when you're in doubt about whether you should signal or not, just go ahead and signal. They should do road tests during the evening. This is a nice, relaxing drive. Not a whole lot of traffic or anything. I didn't catch what this street name was after I went through the curve on Estates Road, but I'm turning right here onto Pleasant Street. This right lane will end about a kilometer ahead. So all I do is I keep an eye on my left mirror through this area. Once I get a little bit closer to the lights, then I'll do my lane change. Left signal, left shoulder check. And remember, you want to change lanes before you get to that solid line. just because you can't change lanes at an intersection. So now I'm going to turn right onto Prince Arthur Avenue. This is a pretty confusing intersection, but I don't have to signal as I go over to the left here. And that's because I was on Prince Arthur Avenue, and Prince Arthur Avenue continues through here. So here's another situation where I don't have to signal, even though it seems like I'm turning left. But the road naturally takes me through there, so I'm still on Prince Arthur Avenue. Now I'm turning right from Prince Arthur Avenue onto Portland Street. What I did there is, it's very hard to see because there's a fence and cars parked there, so you can't see the traffic that's coming at you. So I saw that they got a yellow light, so I just waited and made sure everybody was stopping. Probably could have made it through that one, but it was safe to stop. So you always stop if it's safe to stop, but if it's not safe, then you keep going through. It's very common when students come through here, they'll sort of drift over to that left lane, but just make sure you're in your lane as you come through here. I want to be up close to the speed limit, but my first priority is lane flow. So that left lane should always be able to pass me. Now we're going to turn right from Portland Street and go to Highway 111. So Highway 111 is 80 kilometers an hour. So this is a nice long acceleration lane. Throw my signal light on right away, and I've got to get that speed up close to 80. It's very common on the Dartmouth test, if people aren't familiar with the area, they assume the highway is 100, they merge on here at 100 and they get an automatic fail. Now we're exiting from Highway 111 and going back into the interchange area. Now this interchange area, the right lane rule doesn't apply, because when you're in an interchange area, you have to be in the specific lane for where you're going. So in this case, I'm going back to access. What I do is I turn out into the middle lane. Going directly into this lane so I don't have to signal into it. Going directly into this one. Now I'm going to throw my signal light on. You'll notice any of the areas around Halifax where there's two left turning lanes, the lines are not painted. So it's very common, like that, see that SUV there? They're sort of cutting into my lane. And they change lanes in the turn. So you can expect that at every single one of those intersections where two vehicles can turn left at the same time. Now I'm turning left into Baker Drive, going back into access. Gonna turn right here from access onto Baker Drive. exiting Baker Drive into the interchange area. Nobody to yield to. This time I want to go out to the highway, but I've got this cyclist here and a truck passing me. Never rush yourself in these situations. So my left lane ends, I throw my left signal light on, gradually building up my speed. If you don't have your speed up here, you're going to lose points. If you're going too slow, you'll get an automatic fail. Left signal lights on, watching the mirror, check the shoulder at 77, 78. Still had some acceleration lane there too. Now I'm exiting Highway 111 to Portland Street. And I'm going to turn left onto Portland Street. You want to have your hands on the steering wheel for the entire test, even when you're at a set of lights, and make sure that you have your thumbs resting on the outside of the wheel like this. What I do here is I just keep an eye on the other traffic light. So right now it's green, but I just keep an eye on it. When it goes yellow, then I have a heads up that I'm getting a green light, and then I'm a little more prepared to do my turn. So when I turn left here, there's going to be 2 lanes. So I always turn into the left lane or the closest lane to me. Then I'm established on that new road. So I'm established on Portland Street. Then I make my lane change. But while I'm in that left lane, I'm building up my speed. I've got my right signal light on. And then I'm just gradually going over to the right lane. And whenever you get a green light, it's a good idea to just do a quick left-right check to make sure everybody's stopped for the red light. So they got a yellow. Everybody's stopping. I just built up my speed, right signal lights on. The SUV behind me went directly into the right lane. This is another area on this test where you don't go into this right lane. You're going to stay in the middle lane just because that right lane ends. Going to turn right from Portland Street onto Manor Drive. So the speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour in these neighborhoods, but you would never be up anywhere close to 50 kilometers an hour in most of these areas. Turn it right from Manor Drive back onto Portland Street. Here I'm just making sure all those cars get through the intersection, and then I know that I can also make it through too. Now I'm turning left from Portland Street back onto Prince Arthur Avenue. Should get a green arrow here just because there's a 4th bulb on the light. Going into the school area. So you would slow down to 30 kilometers an hour if there were children outside in the area. If they're not outside in the area, you don't have to slow down to 30 kilometers an hour. So there I just signal across to get around the truck. So as long as you signal, you can go across those yellow lines. Just make sure it's safe. And again, Prince Arthur Avenue continues through here, so I don't have to signal. Definitely a strange intersection though. This intersection is on a weird angle. It's kind of hard for me to see the cars that are coming from the right. So what I do is I get my stop, then I just come out and square the car up with the road. Now I've got a good line of sight on both sides. I turned left from Prince Arthur Avenue. Now I'm back on Pleasant Street. Now I'm going to turn left from Pleasant Street onto Mount Hope Avenue. This road is nice and wide open, so you can see everything a lot further ahead. Now I'm approaching that interchange area again. So I'm going through here in the center lane, and that's because the left lane only turns left back onto the highway. And I need to go back to access. Leaving access here, turning right onto Baker Drive. Technically I have the right of way there, but where that SUV was turning like that, I just came out a little bit slower just in case they drifted over into my lane. Exiting right from Baker Drive into the interchange area. So this time we're going straight at the lights into the interchange area. And now we're on Mount Hope Avenue again. Remember, when you approach the top of these hills, you just want to be ready on the brake pedal in case the vehicle starts to gain speed like this. So I'm just lightly on the brake pedal, and now I've got control. I don't have to worry about going over the speed limit. Here I'm going to turn left from Mount Hope Avenue onto Pleasant Street. So I go back to the right lane right away. If I couldn't get back to the right lane right away there, I would just hang out in the left lane till I get past that crosswalk. I'm going to be turning left onto Highway 111 down here, so I'm just watching my left mirror. Now I'm close to the lights, so I'm ready for my lane change. So I've already got a pretty good idea of what's going on over in that left lane. So then all I have to do is shoulder check to double check myself, and then I go over. When you first get onto Highway 111 here, the speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour, and there's a solid line separating you from the right lane, so you can't go back to the right lane right away. So you're kind of in the fast lane, but you're staying at 50, so it's super awkward. If it's your test, just let it be awkward. You want to get your driver's license. So I'm staying at 50, can't go back to the right lane yet. You can see this is kind of slightly a bit of a lane conflict, just where the truck is going slow there. But the vehicle in the right lane, they stayed patient, let me in. Now the people in the left lane, they can go a little bit faster. So once you get to the end of the solid line, then it goes to 80 kilometers an hour. Now we're back in the interchange area. So access is over there on the right side. I'm going to go straight at these lights so we can merge onto Highway 111 again. When you're merging on a highway, you have to get your speed up, and the engine is going to make noise when you're building your speed up. That's fine. The noise of the engine is not an indication of your speed. Nobody in the blind spot, drifting over gradually close to the speed limit. I'm watching the vehicles that are merging. It looks like this truck is going to merge perfectly in front of me. So that is exactly how you merge on the highway right there. If they weren't confident and they stayed beside me or they slowed down a bit, that would create a conflict, and then I might have to brake on the highway, people start changing lanes, and then that's when complicated things happen and accidents can happen. Now I'm going to exit right from Highway 111 onto Gordon Drive. And it looks like there's not a road here as I exit, but I keep my speed up and then I brake once I'm off the highway. Now we're going to turn right onto Tacoma Drive. So I'm just watching that white car as I stop. Looks like they're going to stop before me. That's all I do. As I approach these all-way stops, I just watch to see who's stopping before me. Then I've got a heads up as to whose turn it is. So in this case, I've got a pedestrian, so I just wait for them to get all the way to the sidewalk. Now I'm on Valleyfield Road. Now I'm turning right from Valleyfield Road to Woodlawn Road. And I can turn right on a red light as long as I stop first. So make sure no pedestrians are using the crosswalk. And away I go. And I have to go into the left lane here because that's the only way I can get back to access. Now we're going to go from Woodlawn Road to Baker Drive. Now we're on Baker Drive. The single lane splits into 2 lanes, but since you don't have to cross broken lines, you don't have to signal into the lane. Sometimes if there were a lot of cars here, it would be hard to see that car on the left. So if I was in doubt, I would wait for this car beside me to go first, then I'd have a better line of sight. Baker Drive is always 50 kilometers an hour, and you'll have lots of cars parked on the side here. So what I do is I ride a little bit closer to the yellow line here. That way any cars pulling out of driveways that are having a hard time seeing what cars are coming at them, they can see me a lot earlier. Now I'm going to turn right from Baker Drive and go back into access. You can see these parking spots are painted, like I call them loop-de-loop lines. I don't know what they're actually called, but they're so much easier to park in. So what you do is you're coming in, you got your right signal light on, double check your right shoulder. This is the spot I want. Most average size cars, you're going to drive 1.5 spaces ahead. So I do a double left shoulder check. I'm looking back the whole time. But if I need to look around, I can just like slow down or stop. Just had a quick glance around and keep going back. Now I just want to stop when I think the car is straight. Then I straighten my steering wheel out. I can't see the lines here, but I'm looking at the spots ahead. And it looks like if I was to drive straight ahead, I would be lined up with those spaces. So that's another way that you can judge where you're positioned in the parking space. Another way I can see how far back I am in the space is just to compare my mirrors to the mirrors of the vehicles beside me. So that's the Dartmouth test. The most important thing is to be familiar with the areas.